keynote speakers. You know, I've been rambling about team coaching now and I love it. It was tough in the beginning, but now it seems like how could I have done what I did before? How could I do teaching since it was so bad for the students in a way. Of course, I do teaching still, but the team coaching idea kind of lift out the students' own abilities. And today we have Ville here, and Ville will introduce himself and his friend, and they will be talking to you about team coaching from the point of the student and from the point of the team coach. They have been doing both. They were studying Tiimi Academy in Jyväskylä, and now they are entrepreneurs themselves. And I have a small request. If you could please turn off your cameras and turn off your mics, because the connection is weaker, even though they say it's not weaker, but now experience has shown that it weakens the connection if we all have cameras on. So if you could please turn off your camera and turn off your mic. And when you have something to say, please say, so then you can turn on the microphone again. And we also use the chat board, and I'll be looking at it all the time. And I will hand the questions to Ville. So Ville will be talking now for about 2 hours. We will have a short break, middle of it, and then we'll have a lunch break from 12 to 1. And then we have free discussions from 1 to 3, or as long as we have things to discuss. But you are very, very welcome to this Digi2 Erasmus Plus KA2 webinar. Okay, I hand it to Ville.
Thank you on behalf of Ville. This is Ville. My name is Janne. We'll be talking to you, like Merja said, about team coaching. And we're coming live from Oulu. And we actually studied in Tampere at Pro Academia instead of Jyväskylä at Tiimi Academia. Those guys will be tomorrow. But why are two guys from Tampere calling from Oulu in northern Finland? Well, we'll talk about that later as well. But we'd like to first roll you a short video about our place of learning, Pro Academia, so you can get a better picture about what we do and how we do it. One moment, as we handle the technology. Yeah. How good Finnish education. Over the last decade, we've been hearing a lot about how good Finnish education is. Today, I've come to Tamp School of Entrepreneurship and Leadership to find out exactly why they call it a dream school. Apparently, students here learn together by working together. The student is really at the center of learning, and apparently they undertake authentic learning tasks. So let's find out exactly how that works and what goes on here. When students first arrive at Pro Academy, they're put into groups of 15 to 20 students. And the thing they have to think about is what kind of business organization they want to be a part of. And then they form that in real life.
not a virtual company, not a simulation, a real business registered in Finnish law. So they have to set up a logo, a bank account, they have to establish all the legal documents, take care of everything, right down to the office stationery. So the students are allowed to form any kind of business they like, as long as it's legal and conforms to the Finnish laws. And then apparently with this bell, if a business makes a profit of more than €1,000, it gets rung and everybody celebrates. Apparently that means they made a €5,000 profit. Really impressive for that marketing communications company. Let's have a look at what other businesses there are. This may look like quite a normal, boring box, but in fact, these boxes can be used to grow healthy and nutritious mushrooms. And so one of the businesses here is importing them into Finland. Quite an interesting idea. And talking of good ideas, this looks like a really interesting sporting seminar, and looks like you've got some great speakers. So I think I'll have a ticket, please. There you go. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. One of the things that I think is really interesting is that unlike other educational institutions teaching business, there aren't teachers or lecturers or lectures for the students to attend, but instead there are coaches who work with the students, helping them run their businesses and develop as learners. So twice a week, the students come to these mandatory training sessions. But what's interesting is that the agenda for these sessions is actually set by the student groups themselves, depending on what it is that they need to learn. So, for example, they may need to account for some profit they've made, they may need to pay themselves salaries, or maybe they have to deal with some challenges and problems within the business organization. But rather than having a lecture, there's a dialogue between the students and the coach so that the learning that needs to happen can take place within this format. Of course, this authentic learning and very practical approach is great, but students still need to have a theoretical knowledge to underpin the work they're doing in their businesses. So, of course, they still have to read books, they'll research the internet to write essays. And in fact, they publish essays openly on the internet so that customers can see the kinds of things that the student businesses here are doing and the sort of things that they're interested in. So this means that their work is also very open and available to the public. So this is called the Projectory. And every month the students meet here and they share their results with the other businesses. They talk about their sales turnover, their profit and their other numbers. And they also share the challenges and the things that they've learned, as well as their successes and failures. It's really interesting. So at Pro Academy, they don't have lectures. But that doesn't mean that there's not room for expertise. If you like, the sage on the stage. But the sage on the stage here presents like a TED Talk. And once a month, they bring in local business gurus, entrepreneurs, to share their skills and their knowledge and their experience with all of the students, and so help them in running their real businesses. So you may be thinking this is quite a new and sort of trendy idea in education. But actually, Pro Academy's got a history. It goes back to 1999. So for nearly 2 decades now, these companies have been operated by students from Pro Academy in the Tampere region. So I've now had the opportunity to spend some quality time in Pro Academy, and I really am very impressed. The students here really are at the heart of the learning that takes place. They're at the core. that they work collaboratively with their peers and with their coaches to ensure a high quality learning experience. There's a shared set of values, and when students have successes, they're celebrated together. When they face challenges, people work together to help those students overcome those challenges. Certainly, when we look at the numbers, they're successful. Something like 40% of the students who graduate from Pro Academy then go on as entrepreneurs to start their own businesses. So overall, as I think about that and I think about the authentic learning that's taking place here, while students lead these businesses, manage, earn profits, pay themselves salaries. In fact, I look back and I actually compare it to my own learning experiences. And, you know, it makes me wish that I had the opportunity to study in what I really do think is a school of dreams.
So that might have been familiar to some of you, but probably not to most of you. So we wanted to share a bit of how we learn, and we'll get back to those basic things that were mentioned in the video once we get really going. But first, shall we go to the presentation on?
Yeah. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Ville. I'm 25 years old. And before Pro Academy, I did one of my dreams. And I worked in ice hockey shop. But I needed something new. And I wanted team around me. And now I'm very happy to be talking to you about our experiences in Pro Academy. Okay, Sipri.
Yeah, and like Ville said, my name is Sipri. Like Ville, I've been studying at Pro Academy for nearly 3.5 years now. I've specialized more in event management, event production, and team leading in that sense. But team leading and coaching go quite hand in hand in our way of learning. Before that, I've worked in loads of the different things: bars, festivals. I've done all the manual jobs, all the blue collar jobs. And now, a bit about our school and presentation. We'll get cracking at this.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about our story in Pro Academia. First half year, we studied at main campus. There we studied mainly basic courses like accounting, business law, mathematics, and English. And Sipri, can you talk what after that?
Yeah, in Pro Academia, which is part of Tampere University of Applied Sciences, and it's a unit of entrepreneurship and team leadership, as you can see in our presentation. The students who have been chosen for the Pro Academia side specialization move to our own campus with only us teampreneurs, team entrepreneurs learning there. In 2018, we were divided, our class was divided into 2 teams. We used Belbin team role tests and such to find like different aptitudes from among our class and to form hopefully the best teams we could. Could you put the slide? Like the video said, we form real companies. There's 18 companies right now, 12 team coaches, and over 1 million euros of revenue annually, almost guaranteed annually.
18.
18, sorry, not 18. Yeah. And almost 40% of students from Pro Academia end up as actual entrepreneurs after graduation.
Yeah. All right. Next slide.
How we do things in Pro Academia is we have independent studies with team coaches who are kind of equivalent to teachers who guide us, but they don't lecture us. Our learning consists of projects and learning in practice, which means we actually do profitable business ventures. We also have seminars like Projektori, which was mentioned in the video, and Sales Day, where the whole school just shuts down to sell a few things to learn about intensive sales techniques. We also build our theoretical knowledge base by writing essays and blogs, which you can all actually access if you'd like. We can post a link after this presentation. Then we try to learn together with training sessions which are open to dialogue, where we've decided ourselves what we want to learn. And then there's development discussions among the teams and with our coaches. And then finally, like all bachelor's degrees, we write our thesis, which we both finished last week. So we're finally hopefully graduating.
Okay, after that first half year, we formed our own teams, our own co-op. We started from the form our own brand, a business and team name. Yeah.
And we are representing Team Hurma today, which is Finnish word for passion, basically. We have to form those teams. The teams are formed for us by our coaches. Coaches are decided for us by our coaches. But when we form the team, it's completely up to us what kind of firms we form. We could have formed 16 different companies. We could have formed like publicly traded companies. But usually teams at Pro Academia decide to form co-ops, which are cooperatively owned. So everyone owns a piece. But during that first spring, one of the most difficult things for any team, and especially our team, I think, was forming the actual team. Because we can hang around and do stuff together, but we won't be a team unless we trust each other. And building that trust took way too much time, I think.
Yeah. After that first spring, then we started doing the work, our own projects. Our team did projects from cafes to large events. And my first big project was a sport and business seminar, like you can see in video. We invited professional sport coaches to speak business managers. We want to bring ideas and coaching tips from sport world to business world.
And I wasn't part of the team that produced Sports and Business Seminar, but I was part of the team that built it, actually worked at the event. And it was immensely interesting to hear how actually well sports world and coaching and business world can meld together. That's one of the examples where the whole team was participating in the actual practical side of things. Ville and his own little smaller team actually built the event and marketed. One of my larger projects. Sorry, if you could close your mics so we can have more bandwidth. Thank you. But one of my bigger projects was Startup World Cup, which you might have known. I arranged the Finnish semifinals for those in Tampere. It was a project for an event of around 500 smaller participants and around 500,000 euros of revenue. And it was quite a learning experience for me. Some projects we, of course, do as a whole team. Our team consists of 16 different teampreneurs, and those have been very interesting. We've produced events like that, mostly for companies to have their annual holidays and stuff like that. But also we've had innovation projects, which have lasted from 12 to 24 hours, where we've taken challenge from company, and then we, in 12 or 24 hours, a solution for that problem. And recently we marketed it for
Τώρα πάνω αναβαίνω.
companies.
Καραντίνα, μπλοκ. Εντάξει. Ιωαννάκη, θέλει να έρθω να μιλήσω σε έναν άνθρωπο. Ήτανε...
Chris, could you please turn off your mic? I can't do it, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, we and the rest of our team graduate in a month. After that, we probably go different ways, but our team will be forever.
Yeah. During these 3 years, we found out that learning actually never stops, and learning together is way more effective and way more fun than learning alone. But since we are going different ways, we don't actually know what we are going to do. So, Ville, what are your plans?
Okay, right questions. Right now, I'm trying to get teachers to understand coaching philosophy and running this kind of coaching camps and seminars. I love this because I get to make positive impacts to students, their lives. That's my dream job now. Yeah. What are you separate planning?
I'm looking for work. I'm not planning to become an entrepreneur unless something really special comes along. But hopefully something on event planning, or actually I've gotten the bug for these coaching type of things and seminars. So maybe we'll do something together and you can all contact us if you want to learn more about these things. Does anyone have any questions at this moment? It appears not. We cannot see the chat, so if there's anything there, Merja, just shout it out.
We didn't see, we saw only the first slide on your slideshow. Or was it supposed to be only one slide so far?
Can you see us changing them now?
No. But if you can send it to us later.
We can send it
now
to you.
It changed. Yeah, now.
No, it's working. Well, I hope you caught most of what I said, because that's the basic things there.
Yeah, and I can give you a tip for all the listeners. There is also subtitles. You can add subtitles. It's live capture. It's behind the 3 dots what are on your screen. If you click it, it says turn on live captions and you will get subtitles, which is great. No questions so far.
Well, we'll do a small, quick recap about the slides we already showed, but we'll crack on. Yeah, this is basically our how we study, projects, practical learning, seminars, events, and then theoretical basis from training sessions where we learn together, and essays where we try to learn alone. And of course, development discussions and thesis writing, the bane and nightmare of every bachelor student. And this is actually a full bachelor's degree, which we complete in 3.5 years. Yeah, at least hopefully in 3.5 years.
Sorry, the presentation is still frozen. So.
Okay.
Well, we can send it to you to Merja afterwards, and you can share it if we can't get it to work.
Yeah, now it's the
Please.
learning slide.
Yeah, please
And now
do.
studies.
Send it to us.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can move to our topic of the day. We want to tell you about our experiences on coaching and how it has affected us students.
Ville has more experience in coaching, and I'm more of a student learner, as you might say. These 3 years have been actually incredible growth and learning experiences for all of our team. We've had the pleasure of being coached by the former head coach of Pro Akatemia, Veijo Hämäläinen, who you might have heard of. It has been an incredible growing experience for the whole team. I can't even recognize the guy who applied for Pro Akatemia 3.5 years ago. So I can't stress this enough, how effective these learning methods and teaching methods and coaching methods have been. We'll jump into the team coaching principles now. Feel free to ask questions in the chat or interrupt us at any moment, actually.
Yeah, in action, the principles applied to students like this. Coach need to share space to students. The students are given a note of their own space to choose what they learn and then learn it. Self-guidance instead of hardline discipline.
Yeah, that speaks to what's valuable about trust and respect. When the coaches can give the ones being coached, the learners, if you will, their own space and respect and trust that they do their work, and enforce the lessons they learn on their own or as a team, the learning experience is much greater. And in the respect and trust is also the freedom for the learner to choose what they want to learn, what they feel they need to learn.
Yeah, and second thing is independence. We students get to decide what to cover.
Yeah, that's even more on the thing I said earlier, that we get to choose what we learn. There's no syllabus given to us by our coaches that says that you need to read these 3 books, do these quizzes, and participate in this lecture. We get to decide what we want to learn. That's why Ville has been learning more about coaching. I have been learning more about leading volunteer teams. We have a guy who's been learning about importing because he wants to import coffee and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the time is important thing. We students decide on the timetable from the progress.
Yeah, we get to learn in our own time, not in a rigid timetable given to us again by the school. We made our own timetables as a team and as individuals. We've spent different amounts in different things depending on what we actually want to do and to know already what to do.
Yeah.
One thing about this is also that we also need, of course, evaluation. There can be no formal institute of learning without some form of evaluation and some form of clarification for the school about what we've done, which I actually wish would change sometime, and hopefully here in Finland it will. So we actually evaluate ourselves, and our teams evaluate us. After that, we also have development discussions with our coaches who challenges us on something. If for example, when I came to Pro Akatemia and was very well acquainted in restaurant business, for example, my coach decided to push me towards a different direction. I was choosing projects that were related to my area of expertise. He wanted to... please keep the mics closed because of those audio issues as well. But my coach wanted to push me towards a different direction because he could see that I was stalling. I was not progressing. I was just in my comfort zone, basically, doing what felt good, not actually pushing myself hard enough make any progress. Any questions right now, or any thoughts, ideas, feelings about what we've said? Anyone disagree with us immensely?
No, not yet.
Yeah. Then this is one of the main things we wanted to talk about. What are differences between teachers and coaches? Because our coaches and Pro Academia are basically equivalent of teachers or lecturers at other schools. These are a few things that we've categorized about what makes a difference between teacher and a coach. Teachers are usually high status. You refer to them as Mrs. or Mr. They perform for the class. They are stand in the front of and lecture, show slideshows like we are doing now. But they perform. They lecture at. Whereas coaches are present. They are with the team. They're not performing for the team. They lecture with the team more like. Yeah. Teachers talk. Coaches listen. Our coach who sits at our training sessions is mostly quiet until he's heard almost everyone say something, and then he'll ask us a question or a critique about something we've said, and it usually changes the whole discussion. Teacher provides answers. They have clear answers, and coaches, on the other hand, I don't think our coach has ever given me a straight answer about anything. Yeah. It's been more about the right questions, why you want to learn something about things, not how you would learn it. It's more about guiding people instead of lecturing them and driving them forwards. Then teachers evaluate individuals. They give praise, they give numerical values to our learning, whereas coaches evaluate with us. Instead of numerical values, they usually have development discussions, like you would have in a real company with your higher up, basically. Teachers stay distant, coaches are near, approachable. Our art coach will be joining us on our trip through Finland, and I don't think in high school I would have ever had a teacher who would have joined us. I know that I've called our coach at like 9 in the evening, which I would never do to a teacher.
That's our friend.
Yeah, that's a deep part of this. The coaches are actually our friends and form social bonds with us. Teachers usually set goals, usually guided by ministries of education. Coaches help us set goals. Of course, there are goals that we need to fulfill for the school and for the institution, but coaches help us set goals that we want to reach ourselves, that can be a bit more personal. They can be abstract, like I want to grow as a person, but they can be hands-on, like I want to make 1 million euros in these 3 years that you are coaching me. Yeah. Teachers focus on substance, which means they teach what they know, basically. Yeah. They teach their own area of expertise, whereas coaches focus on people. They focus on how individuals learn, how the team they coaching learns, and stuff like that. And finally, the biggest difference is probably how teachers and coaches discipline and motivate. Teachers use the traditional stick and carrot method in my experience, where they are given rewards, and usually I was at least given more of the stick, the punishment instead of the reward for failure, and of course rewards for success. Coaches don't punish or reward. They help you find your inner motivation, your intrinsic motivation, which is what actually rewards you. You get to reward yourself instead of finding our motivation from someone else's demands, which actually can be harmful and not at all drive you towards your goals. In our opinion, this is the way for the learning as a whole. schools should not teach things. Schools should teach how to learn things, how to find out things, how to get deeper knowledge about anything, basically.
Yeah, many teachers when they realize this, feel this is real life. Once they start coaching, not teaching, they don't want even go back.
Like Merja said in the beginning, actually,
Yeah.
that you couldn't even imagine what it would feel like to go back to teaching instead of team coaching as you've been doing.
Here is a question.
Yeah.
Eine asks, do you think that team coaching pedagogy is suitable for every student? How was it in your team?
I'll apologize right now. This is quite a complex subject and question even in Finnish, which is our second language. So we might have to mute the mic so that we can actually but give us a moment and we'll answer.
So don't worry if you can't hear what the boys are talking, young men are talking. They are discussing about Eine's question, which was, do you think that team coaching pedagogy is suitable for every student? How was it in your team?
Yeah. We like we said, we have to discuss these things. And Merja, I resent being called a young man. I'm almost 30. We actually figured that team coaching might not be the best thing at first for everyone. But when you form the actual team, which we'll be talking more about later, the team around that one person who might not actually like or enjoy or benefit from team learning, the team will help them, will push them over the line into actually progressing and learning. At least that's been our experience.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes you might need to do hard decisions for people as a team, but those are just the facts.
Yeah. Thank you. That's good questions.
What kind of student would not be able to work in a team coaching method with a team coaching method?
We might discuss this a few moments. Millainen ei sopisi. Kompromissina, semmoinen, joka sinut tekee kompromisseja.
Niin, joka ei ole sinut itse, tai niin kuin, joka ei sinut tekee kompromisseja sinut itse kanssa.
Yeah. The thing about team learning is that it relies on individual as well as team. So if you don't actually know yourself, if you aren't mature enough, possibly, it might not be the best case, because even one negative person can actually disrupt the teams. But if a student or learner is not cooperative, if they are not willing to compromise with the team, it might not be the best possible way to teach them. But in our experience, those cases can be talked through. No one, I personally, I don't have any studies to back this up, but I personally don't. Anyone would be a disservice when learning from team instead of the traditional method of learning.
Yeah, and if I may interrupt, like I started with a new group, and I divided them on teams 2 weeks ago, and half of them were like, no, this is not gonna work. This is shit. This is just, do I have to really, they have to be active themselves. And that's a lot to ask from 15-year-old students. But because I've experienced, I know I don't get scared anymore. I know they will get into it, and you have to explain things. explain why we are doing this. And now the responsibility is more on your shoulders than my shoulders.
Responsibility is a good word because we'll be coming back to that and this whole topic actually after the break. But I'll have to add to that what Merja said. It might be difficult for 15-year-olds, but it was difficult for this when I was 26-year-old to buy into this. It takes time and it takes explanation and it takes work from the whole team and the coach, and as well as the individual learner to actually get on board with this. But people can be motivated when they, well, we'll talk about motivation as well later in this presentation after the break.
I have a comment here. One of Katerina says, I think the two lists should be mixed, you know, the coach-teacher lists, because in my opinion, a coach must be also a teacher and the opposite. Students must be absolutely involved in their learning, but I strongly believe students must also be able to listen and work. Let's say for about 50% of school time, listening and studying in a traditional way.
You are, of course, professionals in your field, so I usually revert to you. But I have to say that team learning has been, for me, at least, way more influential. Of course, we listen and we learn, but not traditionally, because we have quite a robust background education system in Finland, primary school system and upper secondary schools and vocational schools in Finland. So we have quite good background base knowledge on stuff. But team learning and learning to learn gives us the ability to more effectively learn later in life as well, when we're not just learning traditional forms of traditional facts or traditional mathematic formula or stuff like that. When we learn to learn, we enable us to learn so much more after we graduate. And the team in team learning is crucial and essential. Without a solid team around you who want to learn just as much as you, but about different things, you can't utilize a team learning model efficiently. And we have training sessions which are especially designed for us to share this knowledge and what we've learned. So I don't see the problem with having only team learning based school like ours is. Are there any more questions now? We could take a 15-minute break.
There is one more. Do you believe that there is some basic knowledge that everybody has to learn in order to work on specific field?
Well, that's pretty big questions. Of course, for like doctors and medical school, there are like base level stuff to learn. But there's Ville just mentioned to me, since he's more up on these things, that in Helsinki here in Finland there is a medical school which uses actually team learning methods. So I wouldn't say that you couldn't learn those basic necessary skills without team learning, and I find it at least upper secondary school would have been more useful for me as a team learning experience than as it was now in the traditional Finnish sense.
Yeah, and to me as a coach, teacher, coach, many of the basic knowledge is more effectively learned with a team teaching each other and learning and finding like if you ask how many people live in the globe, in the world, if I tell them the answer, they will remember it for 2 minutes. But if they have to go and find it themselves, they will remember it for the rest of their lives. But like in my coaching, I have clinics where I hold lectures in old-fashioned style and technical knowledge I give some of that basic training. But the biggest change is in teachers' mind, because we don't believe that they can find the information themselves, that they can be active. We think they have to sit down, behave, and listen us talk, because that's how we traditionally think that we kind of transfer the knowledge to their head by talking and giving them assignments. And like I told you, it's hardest for the teachers, for their way of thinking, because we don't trust our students. We don't trust that they can use their brain. We are in control of their learning, which is wrong.
Ville actually raised a few points to me in Finnish, and back to the basic necessities thing, basic level of knowledge. It's actually, I might be quite a fundamentalist in my belief for the team learning, but it's actually up to each institution, each specific profession about which is the best method of learning for that culture, for that profession. I believe personally that team coaching and team learning can be really helpful in any field. But of course, if a medical school, for example, decides that it doesn't work for them, or they can't form those necessary connections together, then they shouldn't use team learning. But I'd still encourage everyone. There's been audio feedback if people turn on their mics. About the what is required of coaches, it might be difficult to imagine or think about these things, and it's actually, at least in our experience, and the hardest part for coaches is at the beginning of team learning. It's a huge mounting of responsibility to get the team working. But after the initial hardest period, the responsibility level and the workload drastically reduces compared to the traditional learning methods. And Merja mentioned trust. Trust and motivation will be the two main things we will be talking about after the break. So if there isn't any questions for now, or have there been? I don't think so. Not in our end, at least, but I'll give you a few minutes to think about it. If not, we would like to take a 15-minute break. Be back in 11:05 Finnish time. So I think this is it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now we'll be back in 15 minutes to continue to go a bit deeper into the trust and motivation of team learning. Thank you for now.
Or you can write your question in the chat box. If nobody has questions, could you tell us how did you form the teams? How does it happen when you start your study? Oh, there is a question. How do you suggest that a teacher can start practicing coaching. What preparation is needed? Okay, very, very good question. What do you think it needs from a teacher? Okay, boys are discussing. Of course, I have zillions of answers, but I think they have much smarter answers than I do.
Like I said, Ville is the expert, so I defer to him on this. But some of the things that there are maybe three things that we would say. One is the facing of fears, maybe. Our own coach was the head coach of Pro Academia, but he chose to step down this year, and he said that one of the most frightening things he has done is give up power and give up status. So maybe the what a teacher requires before he can or they can start to be a coach is the ability to face fears and give up power, ability and the courage to try new things, and what was the third one? Rohkeus ja status.
Se haluaa itse oppia.
Yeah, and the will to learn themselves, because what we missed to mention in our presentation is that team coaching is a two-way street. I hope Merja can back us up on this. The coach learns just as much as the students or learners do from them, and vice versa. So practice giving up power, which sounds like a very Buddhist thing to do, and face your fears in trying something new. Those would be our answers.
Very well put. And in practical sense, do you think a teacher needs training to be a coach? They are speaking in Finnish, and so be patient.
Sitten vertaistuki siinä vaiheessa, kun lähtee kokeilemaan.
Yeah. Again, this is our second language, and these are difficult enough topics that even in Finnish they can be very, very difficult to think about. But what we think is that not necessarily training. It's of course beneficial if someone has coached you, or you've done some team learning yourself, so you know what it's like. You maybe know some of the problems that the student may have. But more important than that or any training is like a support network, like colleagues who are also coaching, so that you can compare notes, you can learn from each other, and have feedback sessions with other people who are experiencing the same thing. So it's like you need to have a strong support network, but it also helps if you have been coached, so you know what to look out for, maybe. It doesn't have to be a long coaching, like a few weeks or over a year or something like that. Like some of the programs that are offered here in Finland, like Tiimimestarit and others.
Yeah. Kanssa kommunikoimaan. Voi saada sitä vahvistusta ja omaan tekemiseen.
And of course, Ville smartly mentioned literature. Reading books and theory about team coaching is, of course, like an absolute support to begin your team coaching career. I think everyone in our team has read a book about team building and team coaching.
Yeah.
Just because we wanted to know how to take what we've learned and actually like use it in our coming lives as professionals in whatever field we may be. And
Yeah.
reading is always the more you know, the more power you have. So
Yeah.
reading is always beneficial.
One thing what we are lucky to have in my organization is the support of the heads of the department and heads of the organization. Without that, you are very, very alone. So you have to, like in my organization, most of our bosses, the big guys have had, and girls have had also team coaching training. So they know what we are doing. And our teachers, we got training which lasts a bit over a year. We meet, is it 10 times during a year? Ville maybe remembers it. In 10 meetings, yeah. And they are usually from, they are 2.5 days. And my organization has paid for all of our training. And we go somewhere else usually for that training, except during Corona, we do it online. And there's always a book club included in the training. So you learn about different philosophies and different stories, success stories, about branding, very, very different things in the world.
I just wanted to reinforce what Meri said about the reading materials, since even our very practical learning method uses books, and when we have training sessions, it's usually we talk about books we read and what we learned about them. So dissecting the information from books through dialogue and discussion can give you a better insight into that. Into the material you've read, and we wanted also to mention that you're never really ready to start team coaching.
Yeah.
You just have to take the plunge, and even when you think you're ready, every team is different. So every coaching method is going to be different because they might require a totally different approach than the earlier group, and then. Even teams that you feel like are stable are evolving and transforming over time. So you need to be ready to adapt your coaching methods and your methodology to suit the needs of the team. So a coach can't be static, basically.
And in a practical way, how I do it with my teams. When we start, a common thing to do is not to tell the students anything about the content. They have to find it out themselves. I give the curriculum to them or link to the curriculum. And so my team coaching is, of course, attached to the study units. So they have to find out themselves what will they have to learn during this study unit. They decide how they will learn it. They will think about how to get the information they need and what are the skills they need to learn to be able to fulfill the study unit goals. If I tell them to them, half of them won't listen, half of them won't understand what I'm talking about. But this way, they really get into it, what they have to learn. So that's how I started. And then I have icebreakers, a lot of icebreakers. I call it orientation. So I usually have it for 2 or 3 days that they get to learn about each other. And then, of course, I have pep talks. I tell them why we are doing it this way. And I ask their opinion that why do they think that they would benefit more from this team coaching method than from the traditional method. And I usually tell them that I have hated school since the first day of school when I started it, and now I'm starting to like it. Now it's going the way I wanted to be when I was 7 years old. I thought I'm going to prison when I went to school. Okay, ask us questions.
Do you have any challenges, or what feels the most like the biggest challenge you have at trying out or transforming into coaches instead of teachers? Maybe we could give some advice on that.
Someone asked before that, how do you handle the crisis in teams? Do you have some examples or some advice?
Tästä tiimiä parhaiten tulevaisuuteen.
Ville actually wrote this thesis on coaching in difficult crisis moments, so I think we have quite a bit of information in his head. The things that we agree on would be that you need to give time and space for dialogue in the team, but you also need to have a good knowledge base of leading, on how to lead crises to a conclusion or how to lead problem solving. So study up on leadership methods and maybe read upon the business, actual business crises that have happened in books. The book by I'm blanking. Who's the CEO of Nokia?
Risto Siilasmaa.
Risto Siilasmaa's book is I think very a good read on leadership in a crisis. Yeah. And there's a lot to learn for everyone in that book. Mikä se oli se toinen juttu? Ota tilaa. Yeah, and the most important thing is probably to give space to the team to solve it themselves and actually solve the problem themselves. Yeah, and in addition, highlight the learning parts of any crisis. Like I said during the presentation, the shiniest diamonds are formed under hardest pressure. So highlight to the team that this may feel bad and may feel hard and may even cause some actual emotional turmoil between team members, but they are learning, and learning happens especially at difficult moments in time and in crisis. Yeah, we're just reading the chat now, so please comment out loud if you have anything to say. But we're trying to keep up with the chat as well.
Maria Miron has a very good question there, and thank you, Isabel. You are exactly right. Maria Miron has a good question. Boys are reading it and they will be answering it soon. So if you have questions, you can write them in the chat box or use your microphone. We are answering Maria Miron's question soon. That is a very good question, Maria Miron. The boys will be back with you soon. I have to think about what have I've done a lot of thinking.
That's a complex and large question, so we need to actually have a. We've said we need time, but now we really need the time. but all of these like blockages are individual, so there's no like magic hand wave to all of them. No magic solution to every one of them, but there are some principles that we still need to discuss. But like, what's the cause of the blockage? How and why? Where does it come from? Is it prior experience that's causing the blockage? Is it if it's actual like some bureaucratic stuff or stuff like that? Then coaching can't really help except like give the actual guidelines that the institutions requires. But if it's lack of self knowledge or if it's self-doubt, where does that, from what emotion does that feeling stem from? That would be step one, but we need to actually discuss a bit more because that's a huge question, but a great question as well.
I think what worked in my case was that I like to simplify things. I make everything simple. I think I'm a bit simple, so I love to make simple plans, simple structures. So I started little by little, and the thing was when I really realized how I was as a teacher. I was maybe funny, I talked a lot, I performed a stand-up show in front of the class. I had to give up all those, which I thought I was good at. I was good at telling stories and so on. I had to give up all of that, most of that. I had to let them tell the stories and them figure it out. And I loved before to prepare all the classes before and all the study material. And that's a little bit nonsense. Why do you study like maybe Russian film history? Why do I study it like 3 times a year myself, preparing for the classes? I let them study, let them do the study you do at home in the evenings, because they are supposed to learn. Now you are just repeating your learning.
We discussed this more, and simplify is actually, Maria, also one of the steps that we talked about. Not everything can be made into simple steps, but there are, and again, every individual member of a team is individual, so their problems can't be solved the same way. But we think that the important step here is trust. You need to be able to build trust with your team. So that they can know, first of all, know that you are coming from a good place and want to help them, because sometimes it can be hard to actually like empathize with people. And as someone who suffers from depression and anxiety disorders, it's difficult to explain those feelings to educators who might not know how those things affect me personally or anyone who suffers from those disorders. Then one important thing is for the coach to know when it's not time for coaching but time for like professional help, and through that it's time to like guide the discussion into saying, hey, I can't help you with this, but I'll help you find the person who can help you with this. Like guide the team member to the right therapist or physician or guidance counselor, whatever his needs may be. So it's imperative and important to keep a dialogue open, but for the coach to actually realize when it's not time for coaching, but it's something more serious that needs like professional help. Because We've hyped up Pro Academia quite a bit, so this might be one of the critiques that I personally, I don't even know if Ville signs this as well, but one of the problems we have at Pro Academia is that the culture is hard, quick, fast. You need to make you make your mark quick. You need to make money fast, and quite a few people at Pro Academia burn out, which is a thing that the board of Pro Academia is actually concentrating on now to fix that problem and fix the culture into a more forgiving and allowing slower students to advance at their own spirit, at their own speed. So we're not perfect at Pro Academia, and Pro Academia is not perfect. We have that kind of problems already.
Se tarkoittaa sille, että meillä on parhaat hyvinvointitilastot kuitenkin TAMKissa, ja sitten että syynä ehkä se, että me nähdään ne, ketkä väsähtää. Ja normipuolella ei välttämättä sitä nähdä.
And Ville, being the Pro Academia fanatic he is, wanted me to mention that Pro Academia's like well-being stats are the best at Tampere University of Applied Sciences. And maybe the reason we spot and notice those who burn out is that we see them. They're in our teams. We work with them daily. They're not just some people we see at a lecture once a week or twice a week. We can spot the early signs of burnout and maybe talk to them face to face or as a team to ask people to slow down and take a little break. Like myself, I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I was burning out in not last fall, but the year before that. And my team sat me down and asked me to take a couple of weeks break, and I think that saved me at least a year of studying again. So we have that kind of. It's not only the coaches who help with that; it's our teams and the whole community help provide discussions and therapists and resources on mental health and the kinds of blockages that you mentioned.
Arjen haastavissa tilanteissa valmentaja käyttää omaa verkostoa apuna, eli linkkaa, että keskustelet tämän henkilön kanssa tai keskustelet tämän henkilön kanssa, ei esitäkään tietoisesti kaikista kaikki.
Yeah, and coaches in these challenges at in everyday stuff use their networks to find the people who help us. Our coach knows how to direct to direct us to alumni, already finished students, and some guidance counselor at TAMK, our university, and stuff like that. So that they all also provide quite an amount of help through their own networks and give us access to them. I think that long monologue was our ideas on that.
Thank you, Janne, for sharing. That's really interesting. Now, I was talking about the blockages, teacher experiences, and you were talking about the students. So that's good. We did combine these two.
Yeah, I can't really provide experiences from a teacher's point of view since I've never been one. So
one thing I realized when talking with some of my colleagues, some of the other teachers, coaches, somebody said there something that made me ask that, don't you want to know your students? And somebody said, no, I don't want to know so well my students. I don't want to know my students. It is so easy for a teacher to keep the distance and not to get involved with the students. I am involved with my students, not so much. They don't call me after hours, and I don't go and solve their personal problems, but I know what's going on in their lives, and that's a blockage what maybe not all the teachers want to do. Hey, and then Janne and Ville, when you have time, there's Adrian asks about, is team coaching good for every subject, like foreign languages? I say yes, but let's see what boys say.
Actually, I think we can agree on this without even like actually conferring and talking with each other, that team learning can be used for every subject. Foreign languages are actually a good example of how you could motivate. I don't know if you guys know, but in Finland we need to study. We have two official languages, Finnish and Swedish. And Swedish is considered, at least on the upper secondary school level, a bit of a chore, and most people hate learning the Swedish. So team learning model could be applied to this, so that the teams and students could learn about the specific kind of Swedish or any other language that they need to know or want to know. Like I was interested in video games, and Ville was more interested in ice hockey and more sporty kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be learning in the same team. We would be learning in different teams, but learning about the same basics. If you want to talk a language, you need to learn the basics. But why couldn't you learn them with a team instead of a lecturer in front of you? That way you could have freedom to contact people who speak those languages, like through the internet, which is now quite easy, as we're talking to, I don't know, to how many countries at the same time. And we mentioned in the presentation that there's a medical school in Helsinki that's teaching medical sciences through team learning. And no offense to any particular science, but medical science is quite difficult. And if they can learn it through team learning, why can't we do it to every other subject as well?
Elaine has asked a very good question, and this is something they clear up, or we clear up in the beginning of starting team coaching with our students. What's the difference between collaborative or project learning to team coaching, and what's the difference between a group and a team? Let's see, Janne and Ville will answer you this, and we will also discuss about this tomorrow and Wednesday to make it clear.
Yeah, we'll talk about this, but the guys from Tiimi Akatemia will be probably talking about this.
Yeah.
Or at least specifying team learning way more than us. But the difference between a team and a group is there are a few definitions, I think, but one that I use, and I think we use as a Hurma, is that a group of people doing something is a group of people doing something. A team has a same goal, same purpose, and to form a team, I think our teacher, our coach Veijo said it best. To form a team, you need to spend time with them, work with them, laugh with them, eat with them, and drink with them. So that you need to actually spend time and also sleep with them. You need to actually spend time and to form these social relations. Do you have something on the collaborative team learning? Because again, I'm not an expert.
Tiimissä luottamus auttaa menemään syvemmälle siinä oppimisessa, myöntämään niitä virheitä ja muita helpommin. Ryhmässä monesti keskustellaan vaan niistä asioista, ei niistä tunteista, mitä asioita ympärillä.
In team, you can go deeper into these things because a team implies trust between team members, so that you can go into the deeper emotions and reasons for anything you discuss. You can get way deeper into the psychological weeds in team learning than just collaborative learning. That's our short answer to that, again, massive question.
Yeah, and collaborative learning is usually teacher oriented, or teacher is the one who leads it, even though if they work independently. But in teams, it's the team who takes responsibility. And teams usually work in a longer term period than collaborative learning is aimed at. And about team coaching, team learning, the method we follow has been gathered by the Tiimi Akatemia in the city of Jyväskylä, but there are many other team learning methods around, and you can pick, the good things from each of these team learning methods and create your own. In Tiimi Akatemia's team learning method, they have their own jargon, they have their own vocabulary. They use words like check-in, check-out, Motorola, and it might sound strange to somebody who doesn't know what they mean, but that helps. It gives the structure to work for me as a coach.
It also gives us students in these academies like a common language that we share. Like we from Pro Academia have visitors from all over the world, and we also collaborate and talk with all the different academies in Finland, like Terva Academia here in Oulu, Business Academia in Turku, Tiimi Academia in Jyväskylä, and all of those things. And the common language helps immensely with that networking. Ville, actually, an idea had been boiling in his mind about the thing about you said your colleague Merja not wanting to know his or her team and or students. There's a negative that I didn't consider that Ville found out that if they don't want to get to know their team and their students, they don't get to enjoy the successes and the celebrations that the team manages in same way. So they are missing out on a lot of positive learning experience and positive experiences otherwise. Just to go back on that for a bit.
Kara has asked very interesting questions. So if team learning work and personal life is somehow mixed, yeah, like in everything you do, they are mixed. Could this be a heavy burden for the students and teachers, sharing problems of so many people? Well, as a teacher, I still keep the distance. I let the teams handle there, but I'm aware what's going on, and I don't go to students' homes and I don't know their boyfriends and girlfriends and so far, because that's not part of it. Of course, I know if they are suffering, if they are depressed, and it's easier, and we lead them to help. We lead them to people who can help them easier. And so I don't feel it as a heavy burden, but that's maybe my personality. It might be. Let's see what Janne and Ville say. And then how many people can a single teacher coach at the same time, the same school year, for example? Well, it depends on the educational system. I'm coaching some teachers, some coaches have the same team for 2 years. They have maybe 20 students and they are divided into smaller teams, and they have the same. They go to other coaches now and then for different subjects, but they are in charge of their teams for 2 years. I teach many different groups. So I usually have a same group who form teams for 3 months about, which is pretty short time. It totally depends on the education system.
That's the interesting question, Kara. I think I think our both of our first reaction was, of course it's hard, which seems kind of flippant, but it is hard to mix our social lives and working lives and school lives so heavily. But it's also a strength. Sometimes it can cause burdens. I constantly worry about some members of our team, but then they can bring me like positive surprises, like because we are so intertwined and mixed. We share almost every success story, every negative thing that happens to us, and it's actually formed like I think Ville and a few of our members have formed like extremely close friendships. I have a hobby that I do weekly with one of our members. It has formed like some of the. It has been hard sometimes, but it has formed the hardest and strongest relationships that we have had. So those difficulties and burdens can actually be a driving force in bettering the students. Of course, for coaches, it's different. They need to keep a bit of a distance, like Merja said, but they can still benefit from the experience. Like our coach is, I wouldn't call him one of my best friends, but I would consider him a friend, even though he has kept his distance, because he has done things with our team. He has eaten, drank, and slept, and worked with our group. He is kind of a part of the team. And Ville mentioned, because again he's the expert, not me, mentioned that the burdens might feel heavy at the beginning, might even become heavier over time, but the further the team goes and further they with every success, the burdens get lighter because you start to care about the people in not just in a maybe professional capacity, but or a personal capacity, but as their successes become your successes. So you can draw positive energy from everyone's successes, even though you might not have been a part of that success. So yeah, there has been a few nights when all of our team members and coach probably have cried themselves to sleep. But now that we've worked for 3 years together, every success feels like a triumph and a big party, and every challenge that would have felt immense and huge at the beginning of our journey now feels more like a speed bump. So it's an evolving process with the team.
And as a coach, it is very similar to the coaches of football or ice hockey. We read the same books. So when you think about what does a football coach do, he makes sure that everybody has rest. He makes sure that everybody plays. So those are the most important things.
Yeah, and when you have the trust of the team as a coach and as a member of the team, and I think coaches are members of the team, when you are having a bad day or something negative happens to you at the beginning of the day, you can actually share it immediately with your team, as long as you have actually a team and not just a group of people doing things together. You can share your negative feelings at the beginning of the day and either take a day off, for example, or get the team to get positive reinforcement and positive energy from the team, so that sharing your bad feeling with the team might actually be so beneficial that you actually forget about the negative thing you had.
I would like to mention one thing that if we think about different cultures, whatever system we are choosing or method in teaching, of course it depends on in what culture we are in. And my experience, for example, almost 25 years ago, when I was in Sweden, in Stockholm, in one school in elementary and secondary level, and also high school teaching, the little children were playing together. No classes. They were not separated that they are elementary level, secondary level. They all were together already then. and they were planning their own schedule for the days and for the weeks. And all these things, there were groups, different ages, 3-4 teachers, special education teacher also there. So they were sort of helping there to study. They were planning their own studies and how many pages they are doing in math or whatever, who is reading what. And that is one ability that you need when you are, for example, doing this pro academy, how I see it, because then you have they have the readiness already to switch on, for example, in this thing what you are now presenting, because they are ready to organize their time, what they are doing, when they are doing, and then they have the social skills, also readiness to face the other person's opinions and how to work together. All these abilities which are really good for also in whatever level we are talking in teaching or learning. But then the thing is that what I see still in our teaching is when we are saying traditional, we have the curriculum, which is, we can interpret that quite freely in Finland. But when we talk about the time, then we are in different discussion, because, for example, if we take the vocational level and language teaching, which is now one course is 16 hours, and if I start from zero working with this method, like, okay, first we meet each other, we need to know each other. I don't do this in 16 hours. It depends on the group, but in vocational level, for example, the groups are homogeneous, they are not the same level or something, and they should not be. But the readiness to work in groups and do this, use this method, it takes more time. But like you said, that is the way we should do it. Because, we should, I'm totally against about this timing and, how much time you can use. And I know that is also a dilemma in all school lives, because we have a certain period of time in which we have to teach and learn something, and then we are evaluated and so on and so on. But if we can in the future, and I believe that we can, and we are going towards that in elementary and secondary level, that we are more free from the timing, that we can use more time, at least I hope so, because the learning it should not be done with the watch. There are some things that you need to watch, but I believe that the learning is a process, and everybody has a different way of learning, and also they need different time for it. Somebody is speeding up and could go further and help the others maybe, and learning the social skills. Everything is learning, it's a process. But in order to go that direction, we need many different approaches, and some elements, what they are in Pro Academy or Team Academy, according to Jyväskylä, they can be used nowadays already in teaching. You can take some elements. Then you can't say that, well, this is team coaching, but there are some elements which are near this coaching. Or what do you think, guys? Is this the thing what could be used?
Sorry, could you repeat the last part of your question? We are having a bit of connection.
Okay, sorry, it was too long. But
what's the last couple sentences?
Yeah, that what do you think? I know that there are some features and elements in Pro Academy and the thing in coaching, but personally, I don't know if I can call it that it's a coaching what I'm using time by time, but I think that there are like little elements from that. They are not totally the system and the whole thing what academy, the team coaching is, but I sort of copy some coaching elements, because in special education that is obvious that we can't think about it, everybody is the same. Our approach is different. Like, in Finland we have this special education, but how do you think that these elements can be used, what you have there, some part of those already in schools and some teams and some groups, that they may then further on, they could maybe change the whole system towards that thing. That first starting with the little elements and seeing grouping, and if you have never used anything like this, then suddenly from 0 to 100 changing could be a little bit difficult, especially if the whole school has no information or readiness for this kind of a thing. What do you think?
Okay, another large question. Give us a moment to think about it.
And Merja also, maybe Merja, you as a teacher can say or tell your experiences that what do you think, can some of these elements be used even though it's not exactly the coaching totally?
Yes, very good, Riitta, very good point to bring out. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I have my own Merja team coaching method, which I started with only with a dialogue circle, check in and check out. You will learn what those mean for those who don't know yet. And I took small things from there. And then, yeah, of course, just try one. Like that was in our coach training. Sorry. In my coach training, one of the assignments was to try some small thing in our everyday school life, and that's how we started. And one more thing, orientation is very, very important for the students, to tell them what's going on and discuss about it with them. That's the most important thing. You can't just start team learning and team coaching just like that. You have to orientate your students to it first. It's like in everything. I had a student from I don't remember, from some African country, and he had been already with us for over a year in our school, and then I had orientation for a new group of foreigners, and also he joined in, and I explained them that don't be offended if we don't use your first name, because we don't in Finland use people's first names. Very seldom we say like Ville, hey, talk about that, hey Ville. We usually just say hey or hello. We don't use it like many other people use in other countries. And he said that, oh no, I've been thinking that nobody likes me because nobody says my name. Why didn't they tell me this when I came to Finland? So you have to explain simple things also, because they are not clear to everybody.
That's also funny, because while I've been outside of Finland, my name Janne is usually thought to be a female name, and as you can see, I'm quite far from female. But some of the things we talk about that could be included in any level of learning, at least in our opinion, is, to quote Simon Sinek, find your why. If the students have a goal and it's been explained to them why they have to learn something, they are way more motivated to learn anything. Like with us, our learning is done through projects, like actual business ventures. And in those, if we have to learn about, if I'm building an event, I have to learn about marketing so that the event is successful, maybe lighting and sound tech so that the event is successful, and so on and so on. I have a reason to study something. Yeah, numbers. Numbers, especially for both of us, are something that we need to study more, actually. And then there's community and culture that could be more built, like how the further on students present something or explain to the younger students about why they need to learn something and how maybe to learn something. More like not just a teacher, but having the upperclassmen and older students maybe teach something or present something to the younger kids could be valuable in explaining why to learn something, or for the younger kids to emulate the older kids and learn from their examples. Like all older teams teach us how or why they've done something.
That was nice. Good. Thank you.
Some of our participants are leaving now because we are baptizing our new building in Joensuu, new Riveria building. So they are joining that, but there are many of us left here. So please, if you have questions or if something is on your mind or if you disagree, please disagree. That's the most fun part.
Absolutely. Disagreements are where the best conversations are had.
Exactly. And then when you find out that you have been wrong all along, that's the most interesting thing. So no hurry, just think about what kind of things have come up in your mind about team coaching. So I'll explain a little bit about how we start the week, for example, with my teams. I call the whole group a group, which I have divided into teams. I have not divided them. They have divided themselves with the help of these tests, personality tests. They have divided their group into teams. And so that takes a day, team building, and then the orientation when I tell them why we are doing it this way, what do they think? Before I tell them why we are doing this way, I usually ask students, how do they see that learning would be most effective in their way? How do they learn? And then I give them this choice. I ask them, what do you think about this, that team learning, that how does this sound to you? And then we do some research. I give them time to do research about team learning. They watch videos about it and they discuss about it, what might work, and they talk about the challenges. And they also talk in teams, what is each team member's challenge will be. Of course, the good points also. And then at the current study unit, what I'm teaching, they make a commercial or how would it be called? A trailer about their team. They make a presentation of their team where they tell about what strengths, what skills they already have in that team. Because my teams in Finland, all the vocational studies are tied to working world, meaning that each study unit, we do a skills demonstration, which is the project they do during this study unit. They have to get somebody from the world of work to order work from them. So they have to make a presentation of their team. So they get a customer who orders something from their team, depending on the study unit. So they have to really work on that, their presentation. And that's very, very good, because that's the first time the team has to really get together and think about who are we, what do we offer.
And in that model, the individual members of the team have to figure out who they are and what they have to offer for the team as well.
Yes.
We thought of one thing we didn't mention about Pro Academia in our presentation that actually might be one of the most valuable things we have learned that our team has learned, which is the value and the art and science of just being yourself, how to be with other people, how to, like, soft values that are one of the megatrends that are up and coming in the business world are communication skills, tolerance, understanding. And there's no way better to learn those things than team learning, where one of the basic principles is that you have to trust and you have to give trust. We actually have our top head coach has mentioned to us that the largest change he can see in us in over the 3.5 years we've known him is that we've learned to just be ourselves, be with other people, give feedback, receive feedback, which is way harder to learn and way more important to learn. Those are things we have learned, and I think our whole class, not just our team but the whole class, would agree that those soft values, the art of being, just being, are way more important than any business model or marketing tool we could have learned through regular business administration studies. And Ville said that might be one of the greatest reasons why so many of Pro Akatemia's graduates, first of all, get employment or become entrepreneurs, and I think it's because why so many of our graduates become get some sort of leadership position when they graduate and get a real job, so to speak. It's something like 40% start their own companies, and 36% are in management or upper management positions in business world, which is quite high percent for any graduating school.
Elaine has a question there. Actually, we haven't had many problems with the schedules after starting team coaching, team learning with my students. They stick to the schedule much better than if they were working individually and doing some project work or some separate projects, because the team is so what's the word, so self-regulating. Well, I'll let Ville and Janne tell.
Perfect timing. We just got our answer. We quite frankly agree with you on that. Way better time management skills now than when we started, when we were individuals. Again, I know that we sound like a broken record when I say it goes back to trust and respect. If you are actually a part of a proper team and not, again, just a group of people doing something, you gotta have trust that your teammates will do everything on time and will do the best, or at least they will do their best to do something on time. And then there's also the respect part, that if your team member doesn't respect your time and your the timelines you've set together, then you can't call yourself a team, and you have a problem that you need to fix. You need to talk about it. You need to confront them about that. And one part that has helped us stay on goal and stay on time, like in not just an hourly or daily schedule, is the fact that we have limited time together. We have 3.5 years to graduate from when we start, and all of us want to graduate together. And especially it's in Pro Academia, it's become a culture that it's kind of embarrassing for a class if some of them if some of them don't graduate at the same time. So there's also a cultural pressure on our end.
And just to remind you that the students are not alone. They are not like wild horses in a field. You are the coach. All my students are on the palm of my hand. I know what they are doing because we have the weekly meetings. We have dialogue circles. I have individual meetings with the students. I'm in their team meetings. I might not speak, and that's the best thing, as a coach, you don't interfere, you don't speak, but you know what's going on. You speak only in emergencies. You let them do the talking, let them do the planning.
One more thing about the time and procrastination. One of the biggest tools against procrastination that we use as a team is Motorola, which is, if people don't know, it's a way to give feedback that consists of 4 questions. What went well today? What went bad? What did I learn? And what will I take into action in my life? We try to have those like nearly daily at the end of the day. So there's a social pressure to not be embarrassed and have to say 3 days in a row, I didn't learn anything, or I didn't do anything good or anything great. So there's a social pressure to do something, which combats the procrastination. But then again, procrastination can be a sign of burning out, depression, stuff like that. And again, team can help spot that when it's actually procrastination and when it's a mental problem or stress problem. Maybe we'll do a Motorola or a written form or something at the end of this, but maybe we'll see.
And if you think that, okay, it's easy to do team coaching with students who are as bright as Janne and Ville have been, and with the great students who all love studying, who love to come to school and so on. No, my students, I teach in a secondary vocational school. I have now these teams. In one team, there is a 16-year-old girl, there is 56-year-old woman, and there are a couple other students, 4 people in that team. And they are having some problems, some issues, challenges, not problems, because the 52 or 56, I don't remember how old this lady is, can't understand this 16-year-old girl's way of thinking. But they will work it out. It has happened before, and they all work out. And there has been teams where there has been 16-year-old, 17-year-old students and 40-year-old students, and they have worked perfectly without any problems from the start point. But this particular group will have challenges because their attitudes from the beginning have been that, gosh, we can't work together. But I'll give them time, and I'm sure they will work it out. Actually, we will have a meeting this afternoon with this team and talk about the situation.
And actually, we want to again, like, Merja has so many good points that it's easy to build on them. But our team, for example, is also from very wide backgrounds. We have one 23-year-old who was 20 when we started, one 36-year-old. We have people from every line of work. Nurses, philosophers, DJs. I think we have 2 YouTubers for some reason, one contractor and stuff like that. And if our team wasn't so diverse, we wouldn't have the same as a good experience in my mind. It would be poorer experiences. We wouldn't have so many different points of view from which to approach any different thing or any subject. Yeah, and of course our degree program lasts for 3.5 years. That's plenty of days when someone isn't motivated. There's probably days when no one is motivated, and then there are days when everyone is extra super motivated. And team had to build the model and the tools for individuals to have motivation. So the more diverse the team, the more diverse tools and learning and teaching methods you need to have in that team. So it's really quite interesting to watch any new team forming or old team working together. I see Susanna has asked a question about trust. We, the teacher, also have to grade the students, so why should they trust us? Again, we'll discuss this for trust is a cornerstone of any team learning, but it's also the most difficult part to form those trusts, to form that trust. But why should I don't know? Is it because I haven't been a teacher? But I find this: why should the student trust the coaches or teachers? Quite honestly, kind of baffling and weird to me, because if you want to learn anything, you get to trust the source that is teaching it. And if you want to trust someone, you gotta understand that they are trying to help you, not just fulfilling their day job. I don't know. It's a difficult question actually. It's weird because you need trust to learn anything. Some students absolutely already trust you, I'm sure. And they are probably those that learn best from you. I think that's our small quick answer. There's actually quite good discussion in the chat about this question from earlier.
In Finland, the educational system for the past, let's say, 20 years has not been based on testing and grading as much as in many other countries. We don't put emphasis on those that much. So maybe that's why we don't have the similar issue with grading. And in vocational education, we don't have assignments or tests. We have the skills demonstration where the student shows that she or he has learned the skills needed for the vocation. That doesn't mean that we don't have any written tests. We might have also those, but I don't know. I might be wrong about other countries, but I see that in our culture, it's not, the students are not afraid of tests, or it's not really based on testing or grading.
One thing about the trust again is that, again, the difference between teacher and coach. If a teacher at the front of the classroom asks the whole class at the same time, "Hey, do you trust me?" or basically anything, they are probably going to get a generally affirmative answer that the class trusts them. But who knows how accurate that is? Who knows how truthful that answer is actually? A coach, on the other hand, who's part of the team, in the team, and with the team, can approach individuals have discussions with them instead of a yes/no answer from the whole class, which are way more, those deep discussions can be are way more insightful and give more depth to any answer, basically. So it's easier to find out if your students trust you if you have some sort of personal relationship with them.
Alkuvaiheessa valmentaja kyselee paljon yksilöiltä, koska ei voi uskoa vielä siihen, että tyyli välttämättä puhuu suoraan.
Absolutely. And Ville reminded me that at the beginning of any team's life, it's coach's job to approach as many people as possible as individuals to figure out what kind of people they are, so what kind of group they are forming.
Romina has asked, how can we grade the students' work? Maybe Ville and Janne has answered how it is in their studies. Do you grade the process or only the results? Both in a way, because if the process hasn't been good, then they don't have the skills. We have now from 1 to 5 the grading system in vocational school. It used to be only from 1 to 3 earlier, and the grade is given by how well they have gained those skills, and we can see the skills in the skills demonstration. Whatever it is, in hairdressers, it's a last. They have to design maybe a hair piece or something. Actually, why am I talking about hairdressing? I know nothing about it. I don't even go to hairdressers. So what field? Well, they have like a final project. They work towards that skills demonstration project throughout the whole study unit.
I can tell you how we do things, because in Pro Academia we have very few graded courses, actually. Those are mainly the basic ones for accounting and business law and English and stuff like that. We have mostly pass-fail courses otherwise, but of course we need to receive feedback to know if we've grown, and I think we have 3 ways of figuring like getting feedback, which aren't grades exactly, but are something that maybe we can reflect on grades. One is feedback from the team and what they think of how the process went and what kind of result we got from that process. And I have to specify that these are basically probably differ between every team, these methods of figuring out what your grade would be or giving your feedback. But another way of getting feedback is setting goals together with your coach, and then figuring out if you reach those goals using the methods you used. And finally, we have one physical, well, not physical, but real way of getting feedback, which is the fact that all of our projects are for real clients. So if our clients are happy, that means that we did something right? And if clients are happy, they probably come repeat clients, and so on and so on. We have final exams also, which are called 24-hour, which are innovation challenges that last for 24 hours. We do get graded on those by a combination of a panel of our clients, alumni, and coaches from Pro Academia. I can't really go into the actual grading method there because I'm not yet alumni. I'm not a coach at Pro Academia, so I don't really know how they grade us there. But we know that it's a discussion on between how the client felt that we did, how the coach think that we've grown, and how we performed during the final exam, and then some input from alumni. But I don't know any more details about that grading.
Yeah, it is same in my organization. we have a skills demonstration discussions. First, we watch all the work. We check all the work with the customer because our work is also customer related. And the customer is also part of the discussion, maybe through phone or via Teams, maybe only for 10 minutes, but he or she is there also. And then we have a team discussion, and team gives feedback from their work as a team and maybe also as an individuals. And then you have discussion with each individual and they tell about how they felt about it. How did they think they managed and how did they think their team members did during this study unit and during the project. And it is pretty easy because they know. I usually, especially before, I ask them, what do you think is a good grade for you? And 90% of the time, it's the same what the team gave them and what I was seeing. So it usually fits. They have a pretty good idea how it went. And setting goals, when you set the goals in the beginning, when they read the curriculum, they know what the goals are. And then you, in the skills demonstration, you check the goals and you talk with the student and ask, how do you think? What do you think? How did you reach this? How well did you reach this and this and this? And I don't know, I never have any problems with grading, but that's because our system is different probably than in your countries.
Yeah, and we wanted to actually reflect a bit on the effect and how our coaches give us feedback. We have when we talk to our coaches, their job is to give us different perspectives on our process and our results. Since they aren't involved in the actual process of any given project, they can see it from an outside view and give us a different perspective, like a bird's eye view on the project and the results. And again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but trust is imperative when giving feedback, because usually, like Mary said, it's the same with us that our coaches could feasibly ask us on feedback and critiques and anything related to our projects. And since we have their trust and we trust them, it prevents us from basically lying to them. Yeah, I earned the highest marks on this project. It was great, because you don't want to lie to a person you trust. You want to give them like your actual thoughts, and you want to receive their actual thoughts, which isn't possible if you don't trust them. And the trust also allows us to admit our mistakes when we receive feedback. Like I made a mistake in marketing, and that's that degree. I made a mistake in transportation in that degree. So when you're not being graded like we are, you don't have the fear of receiving bad marks. So that provides us that motivates us to notice and fix our own mistakes in any given project. So the fear of a bad grade can not traumatize you, but disturb your progress maybe.
Aiheesta kysytään paljon, mutta jokaisen pitää luoda omat tyylit siihen, miten tämä toteutetaan, tämä arviointi.
It's a problem or challenge that almost everyone asks about, but there's no one single answer to almost any of these questions, and in grading especially. Actually, also, we're, like we said earlier, we are on our final camp, and we need to start to move up north soon. So if you have any final questions to us, please. We have a few moments still until we have to start running to the next bus.
Benedict asked if every subject has skills demonstration, but Ville and Janne probably don't know about vocational education that much, the foreign languages, etc. as well. We are in a process of moving those subjects also to skills demonstration or have them more work oriented. But at the moment, I don't know how. I'm not very much involved with those studies, but they should be work oriented. Yes, Ara is correct. Hey, we thank you, Ville and Janne. Thank you so much. You were great. And I'll be in touch with you by email. Let's all give them a big hand. Bye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And we'll send the presentation to Merja so you can distribute it to every participant who's interested. And it contains our contact information if you want to get in touch. So hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We had like I said, 6 to 10 rules, can't remember anymore. But we had few members who wouldn't agree to those, wouldn't sign those, which meant they couldn't actually be part of our team since they weren't willing to put themselves out there and give themselves to the team and actually work with the team. We, of course, went to a coach and talked to him about how we could handle this. Well, his way of handling was to let us handle it ourselves. It isn't the coach's place, or at least in our culture, it wasn't the coach's place to go and tell someone that get your act together or get out. It was our coach's job to guide us. Give them time and give us time to actually talk about the discussions and give us the tools necessary to solve it. Discussions, dialogues, stuff like that, like actual practical tools, but not solutions to our problems. Well, that student wouldn't buck, wouldn't agree or compromise with us. So the situation went a bit too far. We sadly had to fire one person from our team, and then which actually led us to the rest of the team becoming a tighter, better team in our opinion. But what the coach did, and what is coach's responsibility in a situation like that, is to approach that lone student and maybe give them different perspective that the team cannot give them about how their studies can't progress if they won't do something, or give them another point of view into the situation. Since usually in this kind of conflict situations, it's very aggressive and very black and white between the two aggressors, between the individual and the team. And it was the hardest thing we've had to do in our team. I remember at least half of the team crying when we signed the firing papers, separation papers from that member. But I've said in our group discussions, it's a bit of a cliche in our team, but diamonds are formed under pressure, and the hardest pressure forms the clearest diamonds. So these hard decisions are absolutely necessary for any actual team building and team forming. So you should, as a coach, you should kind of enjoy them. You should those situations. You should absolutely feel sympathy for the team you are coaching, but you should actually be able to look at it from a higher perspective and see how delicious and potentially developing it could be, those hard decisions, if they be firings, if they be inner team conflict, if someone on the team is fighting one another or something like that. Any like which seems to the team insurmountable, impossible challenges should be to you as a coach delicious nuggets of information and teaching potential, basically.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a long example, but does this wake any questions in you, any feelings? We would love to keep the conversation going.
I like what Janne said about that the coach should kind of enjoy about the conflicts or look at it above, like, or maybe I misunderstood, but with the last group I had, there was a team that was having huge problems. They said they don't want to work with each other. It would have been so easy for me to jump in and solve the problem for them. But I hold myself back. I really had to hold myself back. I had to leave the room so I don't interfere. And I told them that, could you please discuss about this within your team first? And I came back after half an hour, they had solved it. They had done it. So don't interfere too much. Here's a question. Could you give an example about what the rules were, the team rules?
Yeah, absolutely. I just first want to build on to what you said about solving students' problems. We also, well, Ville has personally found out that once you solve one problem for the team, or you need to solve the second and third, and you need to then solve all their problems. You're not actually teaching them to solve their problems. You're teaching them that you can be relied on to solve their problems. So you were quite correct, but the examples from our rulebook, let me consult with my partner here. Miten meillä oli sääntöjä?
Saadaan antaa palautetta toisillemme.
Yeah, one of them was a bit abstract, that we should be allowed to give and to receive feedback and critique from the members of the team. It was basically that you can't be offended if someone gives you actual feedback instead of course you could be offended if they give you, like, if they insult you or stuff like that, but if they give you feedback and critiques about the stuff you've done or how you portrayed yourself, acted in the workplace, then you should be able to hear it and you should be able to give that same kind of critique. Then the one was that one was more practical. If you're late to one of our training sessions, you need to do 10 push-ups for each minute you're late, because we had a few late runners, but I think maybe 5 people have done push-ups, so our late tardiness problem went away, basically. Those were ours. And we've actually gone back to those rules and tweaked them, changed them, taken some of the rules out that didn't work for us, put some new ones in, and altered them. Like almost everything in team learning, they should be living things that evolve and transform over time.
Yeah, and one thing about the rules, the common rules in a team, if the teacher coach says that don't be late, it doesn't have the same effect if your team tells you that, hey, what shall we do about you being late, that you are now holding back the whole team. So it's much more effective. Usually my teams, they have rules like what to do if you are late, what to do if you are sick, what to do if you need help, and so on. So practical things a lot. And then one team had really nice rule about inspiring each other, how to always push each other forward. And if you see somebody's down and not really getting into the work, they had their own rules how to get that person working.
Those are quite interesting. And actually, one of the things about our tardiness rule and why it was effective was that we rationalized it with the fact that everyone in our team has limited time, and the team has limited time to be together. So by not being on time or respecting the time that we've set, you were disrespecting the whole team. You were basically eating time of everyone's lives and free time. So that was absolutely one of the key parts of why we formed the trust that we have, and that's actually one of the coaching prerequisites that we are going to talk about.
Yeah.
Trust.
Yeah. As in previous examples, that coaching can be good. It requires trust in students and believe in shared learning.
We see only one slide, coaching prerequisite.
That's the idea. We want to keep this kind of loose and
Good.
give you guys room to ask questions and pauses if you need. And in trust, one of the most important things is is common good and common goal that are basic motivators on how to form trust, how to build the team, and how to move on. And actually, if I may give an example of how we build trust, our team
Learning contracts.
Yeah, learning contracts. Thank you, Ville. Which we write. Do you guys know what learning contracts are? Well, we can see the chat, so it was kind of pointless of me to ask. But in a short summary, learning contracts are short essays, or well, they don't have to be essays, but most of ours were, where you answered to questions to where you've been, where you are, where are you going, and how do you know you've reached that place.
Yeah.
In our first half year as a team, we all there was 18 of us back then. All 18 of us gathered into a cabin in the woods without no outsiders, food, some drink, and read basically our life stories to each other. And that when you know where someone's been, what kind of struggles they've been through, you can more relate to them, which actually builds more trust. And those learning contracts have been immensely useful in that sense. And if I can share a personal experience, I remember that in that cabin, I read my learning contract first. And even though I haven't been through like any traumatic stuff or don't have any like really bad memories, I remember crying because I had to talk about my fears. I had to talk about my hopes, what I wanted to do. And I've been told later that the fact that I bearded 100-kilo, almost 30-year-old man could let myself cry in front of our team, which were like basically we had met. Officially, we'd met like 6 months before that.
Yeah.
The fact that someone opened up, like emotionally, let other people trust that person, who could then trust those persons, which built immense trust between our teams. There isn't anyone in our team I wouldn't like give my medical information to, or let them decide on my medications or anything like that. I know I can trust them that much. Yeah. And then, do you guys have any questions about building trust or any examples on these kind of things? Have you used learning contracts before? Yeah, there was a question in the chat. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name immensely, but Chara or Kara, is the learning contract the same for all the people in the team? We used those 4 questions, or 5 questions, but different teams have different kinds of learning contracts. And our first learning contract was about our whole lives, but the next, we did the learning contracts in like after 6 months, each half year, and talked about that half year in those learning contracts. But I know people who have done like, haven't used those questions, but different kinds of questions to form their learning contracts. it could be basically anything. If you just are willing to talk about where you've been and where you are going. Go past. Yeah, and Ville clarified that it's the most important part about those goals and motivations is that you actually say them out loud to your team, so that your team can hold you responsible for your goals and what you've set out to do. So again, it's not only trust, but it's trust in your team that they can keep you with them and push you to be better and push you towards your goals. But we'll move on to the second coaching prerequisite, which is motivation.
Yeah. The common goal is powerful motivator. Team building is helpful tool with a goal as it can drive the team to success. At Pro Academia, we have a final camp that is common goal build into system. Yeah, the team create their own goals around final camp.
Someone has the mic open and I can't hear myself. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Those final camps are actually one of the most practical common goals we have. Common goals could be anything. They could be that our team wants to be the best team at this school. But final camps are something that's already built in to the Pro Academia system, like Ville said. It's usually it means doing an international project, like heading to a different country with your team for 2 weeks, doing 1 week of doing actual work and labor and innovations and marketing and stuff like that, and another week of vacation. This year, we, for some weird reason, couldn't travel outwards. We actually had set ourselves a goal like a year ago that we wanted to our final camp to be in Bali. We were supposed to gather like 100,000, a little less than 100,000 euros of money to our budget, so that we could get there and could actually have some like good accommodation, good food, and stuff like that. But again, everything is evolving and transforming all the time in team learning and in the world.
Yeah.
So we're actually on our final camp now. Like we said earlier, we're from Tampere, but we are in Oulu. It's because our final camp, we couldn't go outside of Finland, so we decided to do a road trip in Finland.
Yeah.
This is our second stop on our tour. We just spent 3 days in a cabin doing a marketing campaign for the cabin company. Now we are heading to Kemi, a bit north from here, to do a few innovation challenges for the city of Kemi. And then there's a bit of feedback, so I hope you don't hear it actually, because it's quite loud. Thank you. But our final camp is going to finish with us in Levi, which is in Lapland, where we're going to be going downhill skiing, and actually we're just going to have a week of vacation time there. But this final camp has been what we've been building ourselves up to. It's basically the culmination of our 3 years of together, since we're going to, hopefully all of us are going to graduate and go our separate ways. So it's kind of a goal for the whole 3 years, but it's also a celebration of our time together, and the finishing party for it, kind of. And actually, it's talking about our coach being our friend and being close to us. He will be joining us at Levi. Like, he luckily got himself enough time off from TAMK to actually join us, only for the vacation time and not for the actual job time, labor time. It's actually going to be wonderful seeing him again. But as we talked about, it's a common goal, but the common goal is only one way to motivate people. It's when the team and the learner gets to set their own goal, which might be I want to make 100,000 euros in 3 years. I want to start my own firm exporting llama hair jumpers. I want to do marketing. I want to find a career in film. Those could be all goals that are set by the learner during our time. That the coach then hears our goals and finds a way to guides us towards that goal and towards its end, because your own goal can be greatest motivator there is.
Yeah.
But when the team sets their own goal, and when we have our own goal for the team, like Final Camp, it creates kind of a positive feedback loop. Your team builds while you work together towards your goal, and while you work towards your goal, you build your teamwork to be better, and it keeps going on and going on until you have hopefully excellent teamwork, like Hurma has.
Yeah.
Or were there any questions? Oh, was it bells ringing in the background noise we heard? I haven't been in a school that has bells in 5 or 8 years, something like that, so I can't recognize them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any questions? You can talk them out loud if you want to, but I don't think there was any in chat.
Okay, this is Rita Pani talking. I'm coming from Riveria, from the same school like Merja. I would like to ask you what happens when, because the team has their own goal, and of course every student has their own abilities and skills. What happens to those who maybe in the beginning are joining, and during these years, because life happens, life is not going directly, and many things can happen. What happens then if those students, or few of those students which belong to this group, they're not able to finish their studies, and they face the challenges of different kind? Do they still belong to this group, or they have to change the group, or they are behind? Because I was visiting this Pro Academy in Jyväskylä. During that time, it was a little bit of a challenge. How is it organized in your system?
We have to actually talk about this in Finnish, because Ville has way more ideas about this. But give us a few moments and we'll get back to you right away. I would say talk amongst yourselves, but I don't think that applies here.
No. No, because this is I think it's also important for the other countries and listeners to know that if there are challenges, how to move on and how not to concentrate on this, that those challenges are not taking the whole group, or otherwise also, or that if there's some challenges, how the group will maintain this good feeling and try to keep this member in this group. But this you can tell later on. Okay, thank you.
Well, that's an actually interesting question that now that we've talked about it, has actually come up for us a few times. We began as a team of 18, but we are now a team of 16. We've had 6 people leave our team, but 2 people have joined our team. Our at Pro Academia, our way of learning and the whole model is so flexible that the teams usually survive when few people leave them. It obviously changes the team dynamics and stuff like that, but our coaches and the whole the guidance counselor at our school are able to guide them towards different paths if they want to leave Pro Academia. And basically after they leave Pro Academia, it's up to the team to survive and find a way to keep together, to keep their motivation intact, to finish their common goal, and it's up to those people who left to figure out what they're going to do. We've kept friendly with some of the people who left our team, but some more malicious people we have not kept in contact at all. And there was something I wanted to say to this, but I completely forgot. Do you think you got what I mean, or did we answer your question?
Yes, thank you. It was good to underline that because it's quite important, because nowadays we are talking about the special education and the support, and that is one question, that how we can keep those students among us, with their own skills. And one of the biggest thing is the grouping, which is now individualism is very in whole Europe, and I think in all the Western countries. So now this kind of a thing is going a little bit like against that you have your individual goal, but then the group is supporting you, which is really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have two examples on this. I used to study music and media management at Jyväskylä. I admit it, I was a bad student there, but one of the reasons was that they cut the funding for my degree program, which meant that people started doing less things together and started graduating at different times. I never even graduated because of those things. And then in our team, we have one of the people who joined actually started Pro Academia earlier than us two. He burned out like really, really badly, like actual mental strain and mental problems because of that. So he took a year sabbatical, basically, sick leave, if we were in the army. And then he came back to Pro Academia, talked to the coaches about, hey, I can't graduate with my original team and original class. Then the coaches told him, hey, look for the team you'd like to join, ask them if you can join that team. And he actually told that he didn't even think about any other team than us. So we were glad to take him in, and he's actually one of our hardest workers, maybe.
Yeah.
So we have that kind of flexibility built into our system. Obviously, not all systems are so flexible. So, but that's why coaches need to actually work sometimes really hard. When the teamwork and teams flow together, it can be easy and can be seen as like leisurely time. But when there's that kind of problems, it actually requires quite a lot of work from coaches. But our coach solved our teammates' problem, and now he's graduating with probably better grades than I am. So it worked for him at least.
That's excellent. That's so good news. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Merja again here interrupting. To be a coach, it's much harder than being a traditional teacher. What is easier than go in front of the class and give your show and be the god of the classroom, be the one with the knowledge, which I humbly give to the students. We are used to that, and it's so easy. When you start coaching, it's hard. It is much harder. Sometimes I think, I'll go back to the old-fashioned teaching. So far, I have not totally done that. And thinking about that, team coaching is in every level in our education. It is in grammar schools already. It is in high schools. It is in secondary schools, in universities, in University of Applied Sciences.
And Merja, as students, I'm quite sure we can agree that all of your students, since you've been coaching at least, can thank you immensely for what you've done, because we can thank all of our coaches like for making us who we are, basically, and putting all the work in. It's difficult to see from our perspective when we haven't done any actual coaching except for Ville's few tries at it, but it feels immense. It's so much better to actually be able to talk to your coach than to have to listen to your teacher. And the help that the coaches provide, is like mentally speaking, one of the biggest things that has helped me personally through our school. But Ville wanted to remind me about also the power of community. Our school is built on a shared community of older groups and starting teams and all sorts of people mixed up together. And it's kind of up to the community and the culture of that community to provide help for the people who have trouble with their studies and trouble forming teams. Building culture and building teams is a completely different topic that we could talk about for like 5 hours, but it's still one thing that we can't like discount with team learning. One moment, technical difficulties. And we could actually, yeah. Those I think are the prerequisites, but we have few answers and stories to share with you. One difficult thing about coaching we've heard is the what would you call it? Resistance to change that students and teachers who are becoming coaches can feel. I personally feel how difficult it changed myself and the way I do things. So I can't even imagine how big of a challenge it can be to change from ordinary teaching to coaching. So immense respect for Merja because she's done that change. But those things that can help with that transition are the trust in team learning methods, the results that they provide, and the help of your own communities, be it from your team, good feedback from the team you coach. It could be good feedback from your fellow coaches. It could be good results it could be good feedback that you get after your team has done something incredible that your institutions couldn't even believe possible. And when you get a few students excited about team learning, it starts kind of a boulder rolling. When you inspire a few students, they inspire a few more, and then it just escalates from there exponentially, basically. In Pro Academia, we have a tradition of older students telling younger teams about culture, how to do things, and even we have a few transfer projects that the older teams give to the younger teams. When older teams are graduating, they hand off a few projects for the younger teams, so they have some sort of a basis for their business. But we also have like a strong culture of sharing mistakes and sharing our own like lessons we've received. Yeah. So team learning is a complex beast that combines teams, coaches, the surrounding culture, and of course the individuals in the team. Yeah. But it can be like so much more than a challenge for you. It can give you so much when you get closer to your students or the teams, and when you actually I know that our coach personally has formed like after his students have graduated, he's been a part of a few of their companies. Like it can provide that kind of opportunities as well. So it's incredibly rewarding in not just in social sense or in just in teaching, rewarding teaching moments to you, but it can also be rewarding in so many different ways. And our coaches, for example, have their own projects that they sell through our university, where they coach different companies. Which they use that as a way to learn new coaching methods themselves, which again is a benefit to us. It gives them new tools in their tool belt, but they also share their experiences. Yeah. As those coaches. they talked about their mistakes openly and mistakes other people have made with them. So I think if I had to summarize, we have only 15 minutes left, and I'd like to open that for discussion. But if we'd have to summarize, I'm sure you'd agree. But our three takeaways would be trust, motivation, and openness.
Yeah.
Those are the three key ingredients that the coaches can give to their teams to enable them to actually do team learning properly. I think that's the main point of our presentation. We have now 14 minutes since I rambled on for 1 minute, but we'd absolutely like to hear any questions, any stories you have now, and absolutely also after lunch. I hope at least a few people will join us then.
Yeah.
But do you have any questions, comments, feedback to us, or anything like that now?
I have a question.
Yep.
I'm from Riveria, and I would like to ask about those teams when they are formed. Are they field oriented? So are they all from the same field, or are you having the teams mixed between different professions, between different fields?
In Pro Academia, we have each year has had 4 teams. 2 of them are like mixed fields. Like Ville is more from sales and coaching. I'm more from restaurant and event management side of things. But we have 16 people who have all different kind of backgrounds. We have one nurse at least and one contractor working with us. But then in Pro Academia there are also 2 continuing teams which aren't formed like at once, but have been formed like 5 years ago. One is these have actual main fields. One is travel and experience industry, and the other one is like health and fitness industry based. So the team learning model can be fitted to different fields, or it can be as general as you want, like our team is. Yeah. And Ville actually reminded me that we both are business administration students, but there are also, you can apply, if you're studying coding or engineering or information technology at YAMK, you can specialize in the same thing we are specializing and ask for transfer to Pro Academy, which actually is a great resource for us since apps run this world now, as you know, and those are a good business, and us business administration students don't know how to code. So we're quite lucky when we get those students transferring from different graduate degrees who can code. So it's incredibly wide. You can do it as a field-based or as general as you'd like I said.
There is a question in the chat. How do you deal with people that are competitive?
Kuinka niin kuin kilpailuhaluisia ihmisiä? I think Ville is one of the most competitive people in Hurma. So, but just chime in with me for me in Finnish if you think of anything. Eli sano jotain suomeksi, jos keksit jotain. But I think I'm not competitive. I don't think competitive people are a problem. They can be like a resource, since we have team versus team competitions at Pro Academia. So we've guided that competition, that drive for competition to those competitions and tiimiä.
Joo. Se, että liikeideat ei oikeastaan keskenään kilpaile, vaan
and what we do when we form teams, we use these kind of like play personal tests, not science-based, but like a Harry Potter test. There are many different kinds of tests, Belbin test, and we try to avoid to put 2 competitive persons in the same team. We try to mix them in different teams because they are the driving force of the team. To have them in each team is really good.
Absolutely. We also use Belbin, and you mentioned Harry Potter. I'm a Hufflepuff myself, but we prefer to use Belbin, which is a bit more scientific than Harry Potter quizzes. But I really also wanted to mention that our business ideas aren't usually competing against each other. So it's more that if there's competitive people who want to specialize in importing or exporting, they drive that team to get towards that goal. And competitive people can be like the most powerful driving force in a team. Without those people, the team just basically stalls and thinks about what they should be doing. But when there's competitive people, they want to do it because they want the recognition. So the competitive people are a motor in the team, if you'd like. I think that's my take on it. If there isn't any more questions, we'd like to leave you with a quote from Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. And that's team learning in a nutshell. We're going to have a discussion, I think, Merja, you can confirm, on this same call later today, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, we will continue after an hour, 1 o'clock Finland time, and you can think about questions. Ville and Janne will be here. Of course, I will be here, and we can discuss about your questions and your thoughts about team coaching. And about tomorrow morning from Jyväskylä Tiimi Akatemia, there will be students and coaches telling about their thoughts about team coaching. And on Wednesday morning, we have our team coaches from Riveria, my organization, telling how we did it on the secondary vocational school. But so we will see here in an hour, 1 o'clock. Yeah.
And the guys from Tiimi Akatemia absolutely have our recommendation. We talked with them and they're absolute top notch. They're actually going to go in a bit deeper into the theoretical side of team learning. So it's hopefully going to be interesting how they build on our basic steps into team learning and team coaching. And there's our contact info. Please add us on LinkedIn. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, but that's not as important. And absolutely feel free to contact us on our emails. We offer different kind of coaching services, and we're very excited to be hopefully hearing from a lot of you. We'll try to answer questions if you can't make it to the discussion today, if you contact us via email. I think that's it on our part.
That's all. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So see you in an hour.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Tanya just joined us. We are having now a lunch break and we will be back here for discussion at 1 o'clock. Also, Isabel arrived. Isabel, we are having a lunch break at the moment and we'll be back at 1 o'clock. And somebody wants to talk, please talk.
I talk with Isabel, Maria.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. I talk to her. Don't worry. Bye.
And so there will be a recording of this this lecture, and I will send the link later on to everybody. But now we will have a lunch break for an hour.
Hi, Mariam.
Oh,
Bye.
Voice.
Miriam is Blauba.
I want to ask you.
Hello, Maribel.
Are you fine? I'm Sarah.
Sara, eu vou dar para a Isabel, desculpa.
Diz?
Maria.
Yes.
Maria, it's Elaine. I wanted to ask you, I missed the beginning. Could I have the, hi, you look beautiful. I love the balloons. Could you send me the PowerPoint? Because I missed the beginning and I can't take part because I've got too many things I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. I will send you the whole recording, link to the whole recording and the PowerPoint.
Big thanks, meanwhile. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for being here. Okay, so an hour break.
Okay.
Isto não começava às 10? Opa, a sério. Então está a acabar? Ok. Opa, pô. Ok, vou sair e vou voltar a entrar. Opa, não acredito. Sim. Espera aí.